It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. When I first started here at KFI, it was January. It was before that when I was doing weekends. It was late May or early June of 2009. So what is that? I don't know, 15 years ago? I can't do the math. But it was 2009. And I had worked at KLSX for 12 years. I got fired from there. I worked for KBC for 12 hours. I got fired from there. And when I left KBC, I called Robin Bertolucci. I called KFI and I said, hey, is there anything open over there? I'm down to one station. And she said, no, I'm nothing over here. I said, all right, well, keep me in mind. And she said, all right. And I got a call like 2 weeks later saying, hey, want to fill in on a weekend from like noon to 2 or something. I said, yeah, I'd love to. So I came in to KFI. I've been listening to KFI my entire life. My mom's favorite station was KFI. My dad's favorite station was KFI. I listened to it. It was my P1 since I had a car when I was 16. I listened to it all the time. I only listened to KFI. Even when I was working over at KLSX, I'd listen to KFI on the way in, and I'd listen to KFI on the way home. I never told that to my boss, but it's true. And Wayne Resnick, I used to listen to him. I used to run into him all the time over at Radisson when Steckler and I would drink before we worked. And he was over there quite often. And I became friends with Wayne Resnick. So when I started here, I was a nervous wreck. I went in the bathroom and threw up before I was on here the first time. Because this is like working for the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Cowboys or the Montreal Canadiens, if you're an NHL fan. And I came in here to do the very first show, noon to 2. And I was sick to my stomach, nervous as hell, sweating. I was going to pass out. And I come in, and Wayne Resnick's sitting here. I'm like, hey, Wayne, how you doing? I didn't know you were on today. He said, no, I'm not on today. I just want to come in because I knew you were going to be nervous because you're not really professional. And I came in to sort of ease your nerves, calm you down. And, man, I will never forget that. Wayne Resnick is with us. Wayne, how you, bub?
That's not. Thank you.
Is that not a true story?
It's a true story, except for why I came in. I didn't come in to greet you because I thought you were unprofessional and would need calming down. I came in to greet you that day for the same reason that I was hanging out at the Radisson all those weeks and months before. Because I was such a big fan of yours, and I heard you when you were on KLSX one night, you and Steckler, and you mentioned that you guys actually convened in the lobby of the Radisson before your show to talk about the show or just hang out before you went on the air. And KFI was on Ardmore, and KLSX was on Wilshire, and it was a 2-block walk. And I was such a huge fan that one night I said, I wonder if they're at the Radisson right now. And I fanboyed my way over there and interrupted you guys. And you were so nice and so welcoming and everything. And then we did become friends. And all the rest of it is true, except that I didn't show up because I thought you were nervous. I just showed up because I was so happy you were joining us.
Oh, buddy, you are the best. Steckler and I used to drink before every show. And not just sip, it was like 4 or 5 beers and 3 or 4 shots before every show. And then we'd drink vodka during the show. And we always left bombed. Always. And it was, I think it was better.
Well, look, there were a lot of things that were, let's say, different back then. It was very loose. We were on, both of us our shows were on at times when there was no management around. And right. I want to say something because I thought I was going to get out of here. I thought I was going to be able to Irish goodbye this whole thing because I thought everybody was off until Monday.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then it turns out Gary and Shannon were back today and you're back today. And they were telling me, Shannon in particular, who's been so sweet, and she likes to tell me that I'm the person who let her see that radio could be fun, because when she came here, she was a news person and thought of herself as a buttoned-up news person and was on the air with me one morning. We were both in on the morning show. But the fact of the matter is, and this is the truth, that it's you and Steckler and later Whitman and Jason and Sulaco who produced you guys. You're the people who showed me that radio could be fun, because back then, this is what, 25 years ago or something.
Yeah.
You guys were having a lot of fun on KLSX, and we were still doing do a monologue on a topic in order to get people mad so that they would pick up the phone and call you so you could take calls for the rest of the hour. That was the talk radio formula on KFI and almost all talk radio back then. People who started listening to KFI only in the last, let's say, 15 years have no idea what it used to be. And it was, generally speaking, not that fun because you were trying to inflame people to make the phones ring. And it was you guys who made me realize there's another way to be on the radio. And I started doing some stuff that was not in the mold. And slowly, KFI kind of evolved to be not the old school stuff.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. You're a very sweet man. I picked this up from Vin Scully many, many years ago. As a matter of fact, it was at Harvey Korman's funeral. He said, it's very easy to make people mad. It's very easy to make people sad. It's very tough to make people laugh. And I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's true. That's true. And Harvey Korman did it better than I think almost anybody in the world. And listening to you and not only filling in, but being a part of a Handel show, and just the take you have on everything is great. And I understand you're leaving KFI.
Yeah, last year around this time, I semi-retired. I retired from being full-time and being on the Handel show, and I went part-time, and I still did some fill-in this year and some other things. And then a year later, I decided, it's time to be fully retired, to not have a boss anymore, and to not have to be anywhere at a particular time.
Well, what are you going to do?
Unless I've made the appointment.
You're young. You're 41. What are you going to do?
Well, there's a lot of things that I could do. A lot of people who've listened a long time know that I had a completely separate career with the feds, and there is certain private investigation work in regard to federal criminal cases that is done and can be done. And that is something that I could do. I'm also looking at maybe not doing anything. I work
Here's a great line, speaking of federal and prosecutors, and I know your background, but you didn't talk much about your background while you were on the air. You never told anybody what you did. Do you tell people now?
Yes, here's what happened, because I was with the feds, and then I said, hey, I'm working at this radio station. I started out screening calls at KFI.
Okay, wait a minute. Can you hold on a second? In 1990. Can you hold on? Because you had a very important job with the feds that I don't think you've talked about on the air. Am I right or wrong? Have you told people?
I have talked about it now, because I retired from the feds when I went full-time on the Handel show, and at that point, then I was able to talk about it.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me put Wayne on hold here. Wayne Resnick's with us. He had a big job with the federal government, and he never talked about it on the air. He wanted to keep that separate. When we come back, I'll tell you what he did for the federal government and what he might be continuing to do for the federal government. But he had a big job with the federal government that I never heard him, and he had asked me never to say it on the air, and I honored that. I never said anything about what Wayne Resnick did in his life off of KFI. All right, well, Wayne Resnick's with us. We'll continue with him. We're live on KFI.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Keep an eye on all the big stories here. What's going on in New Orleans? We'll have an update for you if there's any more information coming out of that. Of course, Las Vegas, another big story. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is going to continue, and he was voted in today. And then they're going to confirm the vote on Monday, which is January 6th. 4 years ago, everybody remembers where they were on January 6th. Now, 4 years later, Donald Trump will become officially the 47th president of the United States. All right, those are the big stories. Wayne Resnick is with us. Wayne, I've known for, 25, maybe almost 30 years. And Wayne, I never heard you on the air talk about your other occupation outside of KFI. And I believe you had asked me not to say it on the air. I think that's the only thing you've ever asked me not to say on the air.
Yeah, it was never, ever mentioned at any time until I retired from there. And then I started.
And what is it that you do or did?
Well, I was a federal pre-sentence investigator and then a supervisor. And I'll try to make this as brief as possible. But it's a little known part of the general world of federal law enforcement where when someone is convicted of a federal crime, we basically reinvestigate the whole case. We look at all the evidence that the government has. We do our own investigations. And then we have a report that is for the judge to use to try to decide what to do with the person. And it covers the crime. It covers their criminal history. It covers their personal background, as well as a bunch of technical federal sentencing guideline stuff. We put all of that together and then make a recommendation. What should you do with this guy?
That's a big deal, though. I mean, a guy or a gal's future is in your hands.
I'm sorry. I say that because, some judges would rubber stamp whatever you said should happen. That's what would happen. And other judges kind of never would seem to agree with you. And then most judges, it just depended on the case. So it was a mixed bag as far as the level of our influence. But to be clear, we're only working for the judge in that regard. So we don't have a bias and we're not looking for a particular outcome. We're just looking for the outcome we think the evidence and the situation merits.
There was a rumor going around for a long, long time that you were involved with parole. Is that true?
United States probation and parole, yes.
Okay. And that's the part that you never talked about on the air.
Well, I never talked about any of it.
But that's a huge job. Let me tell you a quick story about a federal agent. A federal agent came on the air with us about 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years. I think it was a KLSX, 20 years ago. And his job was to go get criminals from out of state. If somebody committed a murder in Montana and he's wanted in Tampa Bay, he would fly to Montana and escort this prisoner to Tampa Bay and then fly back to Los Angeles. So he's at Burbank Airport one day, and he produces his badge and his gun, and he shows everybody the proper paperwork that he was a federal agent. He's going to Montana to pick up a prisoner, to take him to Tampa Bay, and then flying back to Los Angeles. And he's going to have a gun on him the whole time because he's a federal transport agent. So 20-minute background search. They search everything. They confirm everything on computer. Everything's fine. He goes through TSA. They look in his bag, and they take out his toothpaste because it's over 7 ounces. They give him back his fully loaded weapon with 20 rounds and take his toothpaste from him. How great is that?
That's everything you need to know about airline security in the modern era. I'm gonna guess then that he had at least 60 rounds of ammo on him, because I'm sure he had at least 2 backup magazines.
Right. That's crazy.
For this task.
He could have killed 60 people on that plane, and they took away his Colgate. That's crazy.
Well, hey, listen, he could, because you know what? He could have gone squirrely on the plane and gone into the lavatory and made a bomb out of his toothpaste.
Here's another story real quickly. Jackie Lacey, who our former district attorney here in Los Angeles, I was doing a charity event at the museum, at the Western Museum, right outside the LA Zoo. And I was sitting at a table, and she was sitting next to me. And I look next to me, I go, wow, it's Jackie Lacey. And Jackie Lacey asked, who I was, what I did and everything. And she said, are you in a relation to Tim Conway? I said, yes. And she put her head down and she said, Tim, she said, my favorite memories in my life were watching the Carol Burnett show with my parents and my grandparents. And she went on for 20 minutes about how it, and she remembered where it was, what they ate for dinner before, the sketches and everything. She had so many great memories of the Carol Burnett show. And I said to her, hey, Jackie, if my picture ever comes across your desk, would you give me a break? And she had the greatest line. She said, Tim, if your picture's on my desk, you've passed up on a lot of breaks. That's a great line. That's a great line. So,
hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, because if we're going to reminisce this, I want to share, there's only one thing I wanted to bring up in terms of hey, do you remember? And it's not so much about radio, but it is about working for any kind of an organization. And do you remember, I think it was in the aftermath of some host on the air saying something very, very, that caused a lot of controversy. And they called us all to this meeting/training session. And they brought in some people, and it was about generally like sensitivity and, racial awareness and these things. And at one point, the presenter, and I forgot how it got to this in terms of a little back and forth with the people in the audience. But do you remember this? The presenter who was teaching us about racial sensitivity and so forth, and ethnic sensitivity, said flat out that we should be thoughtful about and not be mean to the 9/11 hijackers.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You were there. I can assure you this. Maybe you don't remember it, but you were there.
All right.
Sitting 2 people away from me. And he said it, and half the room was about to crawl over the conference table and strangle the guy.
I don't remember that, but it does sound familiar.
Because it was sort of like, you have to be nice to this group of people. Okay, well, what about terrorists? Yes.
I remember.
What about the 9/11 hijackers? Yes, they're people too.
I remember being in one of those meetings, and there was going to be 3 sessions. You could go to the noon or the 3 or the next day at noon. And I went to the one at noon, and our former boss, Robin, went and said, "Okay, everybody, you're going to watch this video. You're going to have this person's going to speak to you about sexually harassing people at work and all that stuff." And then she split. Well, when she split, I split. Because when your boss is not there, you don't have to stick around. And she called me an hour and a half later, and she goes, "Where the hell are you?" I said, "I'm at home." And she said, "Well," she goes, "what about this meeting?" And I said, "Oh, those meetings are BS." And she said, up until right now, I thought they were BS as well, but I think they're designed specifically for people like you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the HR department is put together for people like you.
That's right. Buddy, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate our friendship. Are you going to stay in LA? Are you moving out?
Yeah, I'm actually, the big secret is I'm already out.
Okay, we can tell that story too, right?
I decided I didn't when I went part-time and everything, it's like, you know what? I don't want to be older in California. I don't think I don't think LA is a good place necessarily.
I get that, buddy. I really I want to stay in touch. I don't want to just say that, but you've been a terrific friend and for such a long period of time. And I've learned a lot about you on how to do stuff on radio, and your friendship has really meant a lot. And that's why I wanted to have you on. I don't want to do it at the end of the show and say, "Oh, Wayne Resnick's leaving," but I really appreciate everything that we've done together, been through together, and we'll continue.
Hey,
man, thank you. It's been a blast. You're the best.
Yeah, and Crozier has been here as long as...
And Crozier, who I worked with for so many times on the weekends when we had a weekend show, and Angel Martinez and Sharon Bellio, everybody from your show.
We love you, Wayne.
We too. Love you, too. Some of the funnest people in the world on your show, sir.
Easy, buddy. All right.
He's right, Tim. He's right.
Easy. Guys
keep going.
Big head.
I mean, never to eclipse you.
That's right.
And your light and your heat.
Yeah.
That right there is what we're going to miss.
Yeah.
That recovery.
Let's, direct the credit where it should be here. Wayne, really appreciate it. I will call you and we'll chat off the air, but I really appreciate you coming on, bub.
All right, buddy.
All right, you're the best. Wayne
Bye-bye.
Resnick leaving KFI.
Loved that guy.
He's the best, man. Has he been here longer than you, Crozier?
No.
Not as long.
In fact, I remember how he initially kind of came in here. He used to do kind of like parody songs, or actually not even parody songs. He did his own original songs that he would send into some of the shows that clearly aren't here anymore. But and then he eventually kind of worked his way in, man. He did it kind of old school way. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love that dude.
Brilliant guy. A former PD here called Wayne Resnick once the most well-informed host on the entire station.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't believe he was that far off.
Yeah, and I love the character he used to play. Mr. KFI, and then he was Mr. KBC. Oh, it's a different guy?
Different guy.
Oh.
That guy was mad that Wayne Resnick was called the most well-informed guy.
Oh, really?
Yes. In fact, I know that from personal experience.
Wow. That's great knowledge.
He was irritated that Wayne Resnick was called the most
great,
well-informed
dude.
man.
That's awesome.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Hey, we got a call from Jay Leno during the break, and he wanted to come on, but we were talking to Wayne Resnick, and maybe he'll give us a call back. But during the commercial break, Sharon Bellio, who is our executive producer here, has informed me that we're up for some kind of big award. Bellio, is Bellio in there?
Am I? Well,
What's going on?
I don't. Are we allowed to talk about this?
I don't know. Are we?
So on April 5th,
Yes, we are.
they want to honor you at the Jonathan Club for the Savoy Notte Prince of Italy has put together to raise money for Caterina's Club, and they would like to honor you.
Oh, that's where they honor great Italian Americans.
You're not Italian.
Sure I am. What do you know about me?
That you're not Italian.
I'm Italian.
You are not
I'm
Italian.
as Italian as they get.
But I know who is Italian.
More than you.
Jay Leno.
Oh, Jay Leno, yeah. Leno's with us. Jay Leno, how you, bub?
Tim, I'm just enjoying your inspiring rags Target story there. Yeah.
Which Target story?
Well, your life story, how you came up and you used to listen to the station.
That's
and then
right.
I was thinking of like kids there. Go, gee, I used to eat at McDonald's every day. And then one day I went to high school, and then I graduated. And now I work there. Now I've been on shakes now for 15 years. And to think I started eating here. It's that I really heard a person do their own eulogy.
That's so great. I'm glad you picked up on that. Hey, Jay, I've got a great idea. By the way, I don't know if you heard this, but they're honoring me as a great Italian American on April 5th. And so we're like Italian brothers now.
Yeah, that works. What's so funny about that? I couldn't help but think of my father. You know that guy Luigi, whatever his name is,
right?
Shot the guy.
Right.
The most Italian name you could possibly get.
Sure.
And when I was a kid, every time you touch my father, every time they play the Italians and the Untouchables, every time the bad guy. And my dad would read that story and go, he's probably just half Italian. He's not even all Italian, that guy. Because every time an Italian did something wrong, they're not really Italian. They're just some other thing,
Right. Jay, I got a great idea for you, and I don't want you to say yes or no right now, but I have an opportunity for both of us.
All right.
You have a great car collection. Is that true?
Well, I have some cars. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have hundreds of cars.
All right.
Okay. I think you could add to it by buying and displaying the car that I raised my family on, my 2007 Lincoln Navigator. You can add it to your collection. I'll make you a sweet deal. And then people can come by when they come by the shop, they're like, oh, that's Conway's old car.
Yeah, I just can't. I just couldn't handle the crowd. That's fine. I don't have the room, I just think that would be a huge problem. But that sounds fun. Have you still got that car?
Yeah, I still got the car.
Well, that was not a cheap car. That was when did you buy it? Like last year?
It was $65,000 when I bought it, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for it back in 2007.
Oh, okay.
But it was But Jay, it was state of the art. It was the first one that had navigation. It had electric everything. It was great. And then all the other cars passed it, and now it's it's outdated. I have to buy a new DVD to update the navigation.
Well, actually, it wasn't the first to have navigation.
It was the first time in my group of friends. Jay.
I think Columbus might argue with you.
Okay, all right. But Jay, look, I had navigation. Nobody had navigation back then. I had satellite radio built in. Nobody had that back then. Nobody.
Well, that's a life of privilege.
Yes, that's exactly right.
You're a Nepo baby.
And that's right. And I had that car for 18 years. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it, though. Every time I go out to start it, the back of the car is sitting on the back tires, so there must be something wrong with the rear suspension. Is that right?
Yeah, I think what you have what's called a flat tire.
No, the tires are in great shape.
If you hear a thumping sound when you're driving it.
No, the tires are in great shape. The car sits on the tires if it's sits long enough. What's the problem, do you think?
Well, but tires get flat spotted. Maybe you just don't have enough. You might not have enough air in the tire.
Jay, I'm telling you, the tires are fine. The car comes down and sits on the tires. Then I start up and the car comes up off the tires.
Well, that does have an air suspension system in it?
Yes, it does.
Well, that's your problem. You have a leak in your air suspension system.
Okay, all right. So is that something you can work on for me or not?
I can't do it right now because I'm on the phone. I'm talking to this jerk on the phone. I can't do it now. But
right.
yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that sounds like just the kind of project I'd like to get involved in.
That is great. I saw you on with Bill Maher talking, and they're still beating you up over this accident that you had in Pittsburgh.
This is what I love about the press. It's so stupid.
It's dumb as hell.
I'm dyslexic, so I don't gamble. I go to Vegas, and they go, "Sir, it's 21. You have 28." What? No. I don't know how to gamble. I'm not. I just like the idea that the mob would drive to Greensburg, Pennsylvania, wait at the Hampton Inn on a rainy day for me to show up and throw me down the hill. I mean, hilarious.
Let me ask you a question. Are you listening to some of these new comics like this Theo Von? You know who he is?
I like all the new comics. Anything I hate more than comics trash and other comics. This guy's no good. God bless anybody that makes a living. It's a tough business, and if you can make a living doing it without, being racist and
sure.
things, whatever, good for you. It's okay. So I don't, I do like everybody doing it because they're there, and you have different senses of humor. I mean, I watch the young comics, and they're doing jokes on Venmo, and I don't know what that is. I never use those things. Okay, fine. So it's just different, but it doesn't mean it's not funny.
I love Theo Von, and I think that he's like the new Norm MacDonald of comedy. Right? I think that that he's pretty simple, and people always thought that Norm MacDonald wasn't that bright. But I thought he was the funniest of all.
Norm MacDonald came this close to winning everything on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, is that right?
He got all the way. He knew everything. He was a smart guy. He was well read.
Wow.
And he was really conservative. People think he's like the Hollywood liberal thing. He wasn't.
Well, I remember when he went on Larry King, and he said to Larry, I'm a deeply closeted homosexual. And Larry King said, "Oh, so you're a homosexual?" He goes, "No, Larry, I'm telling you, Larry, what's wrong with you? I'm deeply closeted."
No, he was funny. They would tell you a story. He used to bring his mother to see me.
All right, hold on one sec. Jay Leno is about to tell us the greatest story in the history of the world about Norm MacDonald's mom going to see Jay Leno in concert. So hang on. We'll get to that story.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
We've been live all week. We came back early just because we knew the audience needed some live programming. So we did it for you. Jay Leno is with us. Jay, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. We're talking about Norm MacDonald.
Yeah. So Norm MacDonald used to, his mom used to go to your show?
Yeah, he used to bring his mom to see me because I work clean. So he couldn't take his mom to see the other comics. So it was funny. But one day he takes his mom to Vegas. He takes $3,000 out of the bank. They're checking in at the hotel. He says to his mom, "I'm going to go over here to the table. I'll be right back." He goes to the table, loses all his money. He can't even pay for the hotel now. He loses all the money that he has. He had $3,000 to treat his mom for the weekend in Vegas, thinking that would be enough. And he gets back, he goes, "Mom, I don't have any money." He lost all the money.
That is so great.
It's so stupid. So stupid.
And he had, that's all the money he had.
I mean, great comic, a genuine original. There are some people that are funny because they tell jokes. He just says things funny. A lot of times it's not necessarily a joke. It's just the way he says it, and he uses unusual words. The wiener dog. This guy is a wiener dog. And you're laughing at the name wiener dog. He keeps repeating. He's just really brilliant. He was fascinating to listen to. Kind of almost like a Mark Twain. You just enjoy hearing him speak.
When he was on, I think he was on with Conan O'Brien, and, he had a set that he was going to do, 4 to 5 minutes. And then Conan said, "Oh, Norm MacDonald's going to stay with us." And Norm MacDonald flipped out. He says, during the commercial break, he goes, "I don't have anything else. I don't know. When we come back for another 5 minutes, I've got nothing." And Conan said, "Well, just make something up." And he turned a 30-second joke into a 5-minute joke about some kind of moth or something, and was brilliant.
Oh, I think that's the one about the moth goes. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that story. It was about a moth goes to the dentist and this whole thing. And finally, the dentist goes, "Why did you pick me?" And the moth says, "Your light was on." And it's a great joke. It's a great joke.
Yeah, and I really miss him. He used to come on with us all the time. Just one of the nicest guys in the world. Never affected by show business. He was good friends. He had a lot of guys that were friends, not necessarily comics, but friends that were just normal, everyday guys.
Yeah, interesting people. He didn't have a very good meter for sexist or whatever. To him, it was all just funny. So he would often get in trouble.
Yeah, it was great. So I turned my TV on the other day, and if you have. I don't know what I have. I think it's Spectrum. But before Spectrum comes on, I have just some kind of.
Oh, we're not talking about venereal disease now. You're talking about cable.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and I turn the TV on, and forever they were running Conan reruns, and so you watch a little of that, then you go on to cable, whatever. And now Letterman has his own station where it's all his old reruns, which is great because that's when Letterman was funny.
Right.
And
Well, Letterman was always funny.
Right.
Was always
yeah, but nowadays, with this guy needs no introduction, there's no humor in those things. He's a very serious man nowadays.
They're straight interview. That is true.
But Jay, you never gave up comedy. He did.
Well, Dave was never comfortable being a stand-up comedian. Dave was a brilliant host and truly a funny comedian, but he didn't like the road. I mean, one of the funniest things was Letterman on the road opening for Tony Orlando. I mean, that's just the funniest combination you could imagine. He was just so uncomfortable because he was always wildly ironic in his humor. And if you either get that or you don't. I mean, he always made me laugh. I mean, since the first time I saw him, I went up to him and I said, I love the way you're a great wordsmith. I like how you weave words together. And he goes, how could you get up there and just start talking without being nervous? So we kind of fed off each other, He took from me a certain amount of energy, and I took from him, boy, that's a really clever way of speaking and talking. So we really, when I would do his show, it's still my favorite time of my career. Just going on and just Letterman would deliberately try to sidetrack me, and then I would come back, and it was always just my most favorite time of my career because it wasn't any competition. I was just another comic, and he was the guy with the show, and it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I really look back fondly on those days.
What about what was your relationship with Johnny Carson? Did you hang with Johnny?
Well, no, you don't hang with. I grew up in New England where. To me, the strangest thing being in California, oh, Jay, these are my parents, Bob and Agnes. Well, how are you, Mr. and Mrs. Manicelli? I can't call you Bob and Agnes. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're my friend's parents. So I would go, well, thank you, Mr. Carson. He goes, it's Johnny. Oh, okay, Johnny. I mean, I would always go, thank you, Mr.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's just a different way of being brought up. People are elders, and so with Johnny, I couldn't say to Johnny, hey, Johnny, nice tie, pal.
Right.
You can't do that. But with Letterman, I could. And that was the fun part.
I'm the same way. I have friends from third grade. Matt McDaniel, Robbie Fox, Mike Hennessy, and when I run into their parents, I still call them Mr. Fox or Mrs. McDaniel or Mrs. Hennessy, and I can't stop that.
Yeah. Well, my own history teacher came to see me. Can I get you a drink, Mr. Robichaud? Call me Fred. I don't give a guy named Fred a whiskey, okay? You can have a soft drink, Mr. Robichaud. You're my history teacher. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's very funny. It's very funny.
It's being brought up properly, is what that is, by calling somebody by the
I guess that's true. Just being brought up.
Where are you performing? I know you're in Burbank. Are you at Flappers? Have you already done that?
I'm going over to Flappers right now, actually. I'm on at 8 o'clock. I'm just going to try out.
Oh, okay. All right. I always know why you're calling because you always want to promote your gig.
No,
so
I'm not
tonight,
I just called. I was so moved by your touching story, your rags to Target story. That it so touched me that so many young people,
That's great.
And I love the fact that to show your love of the institution, you were drunk every day.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's fabulous.
Jade, tonight at 8 o'clock at Flappers. I went to see you at Flappers about 6 months ago. You were very kind to leave me 2 tickets. And I'm telling you,
Bill, I remember,
I'm telling you, that audience was not from Burbank. They were not from California. They're from out of town. And they were all taking photos, and they couldn't believe they're sitting in a room where Jay Leno was performing. They laughed for an hour and a half.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's a great one. When I was a kid, I used to love the Danny Thomas show because Danny Thomas was the performer, and he would be at home with his family, and then at night he'd go out to the club to work, and then come home again. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be great if you could be a comedian without going out of town? You could just go to the club, and try out jokes. So when Flappers opened, when the Comedy Magic Club opened in Hermosa Beach, I would say to my honey, I'm going to see my agent, Sid Halper, and I'm going to go out to the club. Sid Halper was Danny Thomas's agent on the show.
That's great.
So it always used to make me laugh. I thought, oh, God, now I'm living the life I wanted to live when I was a little kid.
That's awesome. Buddy, break a leg tonight. They still say that?
Thanks. Good luck. And keep, write a book about that inspiring story about.
I will. All right. Thanks, Jay Leno.
Bye-bye.
That's
Bye-bye.
great. Jay Leno's the only guy that sees right through all that crap. That's awesome. Not the only guy. My wife sees through that as well. But Jay Leno talks about it on the air, which I appreciate. Jay Leno on his way to Flappers tonight. It's in Burbank off of Magnolia. Maybe you can get tickets. He goes on at 8 o'clock. I love the fact that Jay Leno is on his way to Flappers. The show doesn't start till he gets there, and he only lives like 15 minutes from there, and he leaves at 5:30. That's old school. That's like my dad. My dad was the exact same way. And so you can go see Jay tonight at Flappers in Burbank. Try to get a ticket or two. It's going to be a great show. Dig dong with that Jay Leno. All right, lots of show though. It's only 2 hours. Got another hour left. We're live on KFI AM 640. Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.